What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Franchise Empire Weekly newsletter, where we highlight specific franchise opportunities and update you guys on a bunch of different exciting franchise things. My name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, and I'm here with Mark Magerman, who is our head of brokerage and has been very successful in the franchise space himself. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Tarek, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. All right, guys. So today we are going to cover, number one, a rare resale that does 1.3 million in sales. It's a 21-year-old business. We're also going to cover a franchise that shows $11 million in sales in a growing industry. We'll spotlight one of our clients and congratulate them on becoming a new franchise owner. And then we'll talk about our most recent podcast episode, which is why smart investors avoid Chick-fil-A franchises, even though they make millions. I have an interesting story to share.
I do as well, actually. I actually filled out the form to apply to be a franchisee just to see what the process was like, even though I had no interest in ever going forward with it. So I have actually some pretty interesting take on Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing that. All right, hot off the press. All right, sweet. Oh, guys, you know what? I just remembered that I have something that I need to hit play on real quick. This is a new thing that we're going to start doing. Here we go. Did you see that, Mark?
I saw it. Didn't read it quick enough, but yes, I did see it.
Clever, huh?
Very
so
clever.
as we grow, we got to make sure and talk about more and more numbers. We got to make sure that we are 100% compliant. So we will start putting that up prior to when we do every newsletter. Anyways, for those of you who are joining us live, let me know what city and state you guys are watching from. Super curious. And if you're watching the replay, drop us a comment to let us know that you are watching the replay. And let's just jump into it. So the featured resale is a budget blinds. We've talked about budget blinds a lot on this newsletter. Again, there are not a lot of brands that actually have resales that become publicly available. And most of the brands that do, well, number one, there are brands that have a ton of resales that are terrible resales that are with failing brands, where you can see that most of them are for sale for less than $100,000. You know how to know if a brand is probably not good? When you see that there's 10, 15, 20 resales across the country for sale less than $100,000. And the brand's not that old. Like, they haven't been around that long. Ladies and gentlemen, that means people are getting out. Their businesses aren't worth anything, and you should stay away. So we don't even add those brands to our inventory. Those resale opportunities, they're out there. And I just saw someone else the other day make a video promoting, like, hey, you can get this thing for $30,000 for this resale. I'm like, that's clearly that's I want to curse so badly. I'm trying to keep it PG because this is a live stream. But that's not a good sign. Now, okay, if there is a rare opportunity with a good brand and there's one or two that are below $100,000 as a turnaround opportunity, that's going to happen. But again, if you see 10, 15, 20 resales with a younger brand and they're all cheap, the resales, you have to run. Okay, Mark, before we even dive into the budget blinds resale, I feel like after that rant, you're gonna have something you want to say. What are your thoughts on that? And then we'll jump into budget blinds.
I'm not sure why you would assume I have something to say, Tarek. I don't know why you feel that way. I concur, and I also would say that if you see these resales and they're under $100,000, the first question is, why didn't another franchise owner buy it? I mean, if it's only $30,000, my goodness, some wealthy, successful franchise owner can take $30,000, absorb it. So it has to be accumulating massive losses on top of that. And again, I think I've said this enough on these meetings and on these podcasts that we have. I'm leery of resales in general. Resale has to check off a lot of boxes for me before I feel comfortable with it. But certainly the under $100,000 ones, you're absolutely right. It's people trying to run screaming because they've already lost a ton of money.
I just realized I had myself muted. If you see other people talking about resales, you're like, huh, that's weird. I haven't seen Franchise Empire talk about those brands for resales. There is a reason why, ladies and gentlemen. What we try to do is not try to do, what we do is we filter and we have criteria on opportunities that we bring to the forefront. And even for the ones that we do, like you still need to, like you still are responsible to do your own due diligence, which is part of why we teach our clients how to do that. Anyways,
I gotta pipe in here. I'm sorry, but you're so right, and I just wanted to make an example. Over the weekend, I got an email from a gentleman that you and I both know, and he now works as the head of franchise development for his brand. And he sent me a note saying, "Hey, we want to add, we want you guys to rep for us and put the brand in the Franchise Empire portfolio." And I said, "No, we're not going to. These guys have they're just starting out. They've got 3 franchisees. They're really just starting." And I pretty much said, "Come back to us after you got 40 or 50 in motion." Because to your point, we are very, very selective as to what brands we're going to be introducing to folks. We take that very, very personally. If we introduce a bad brand, that's on us. We absolutely don't do that. We do add brands periodically, but they're very well calculated, and we do a very fair job of due diligence before we would even get a brand to the point we introduce it. Just wanted to piggyback on what you said, because I think that's a big, big advantage for Franchise Empire, for our candidates, than other companies that'll just take any brand worthwhile and throw it out there. We just choose not to do that.
Great point. I love that you told someone no, too, by the way.
I said it very emphatically, too. I was very happy to say it. Absolutely no.
That's funny. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this budget blinds, again, if you're not familiar with budget blinds, established in 1996. Let me throw up this this jam here, by the way. Where is it? Okay. Established in 1996, they have more than 1,200 franchise units. They are the 800-pound gorilla in the window coverings and furnishing space. This particular resale is in Gainesville, Florida. Asking price, or around that area, asking price of $1.2 million. If you ever wonder why in all these Franchise Empire newsletters, why do they have the more expensive resales? Because those are the ones that are making the most money. If you have a resale that's selling for $1.2 million as the asking price, typically I'd say 90% of the instances, businesses sell for a multiple of their profits or seller discretionary earnings, blah, 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 blah. So $1.2 million price tag means that it's probably doing pretty well in terms of what it's producing for their owners. And so we want to bring quality blue chip resales 90% of the time. And again, sometimes there are some turnaround opportunities that are great opportunities with good brands. That's the caveat. This particular resale is doing $1.3 million in sales. If you want to know more about cash flow, you can request information. Go ahead. It'll take you to here, franchiseempire.com/resales, and you'll click this good old button there. So the owners are retiring, guys. They've owned this business for the last 21 years. 21 years, same owner. I mean, you can imagine 21 years, same owner. No wonder why they're selling their business for $1.2 million. I mean, they put in the work. There's some other areas in the country that there's some quality budget blind resales. If any of you are in Canada, Ontario, or Alberta, there are some budget blind resales there. Is that Arkansas?
Fairbanks, Alaska.
That's Alaska. Alaska's AK.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. What's Arkansas?
AR.
Oh, okay. See, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to be smart when it comes to geography to run a business. California, Arizona, New York, Ohio, South Carolina, and more. So if you're interested, To find out if there's anything available in your market or area, you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales. My take overall on this resale, it's a solid resale. Again, rare opportunity. These things don't typically hit the open market. You have something that's selling for over $1 million, which means it's likely producing multiple six figures in take home for the owners. You get to come in and build an empire with a super established franchise system, where you would likely be able to buy nearby territories as other owners look to retire. Similar to this one, right? They're looking to retire. Well-known name brand. They have a big national advertising budget. Last year, Budget Blind spent nearly $10 million on internet, radio, and TV advertising, driving over 400,000 inquiries, and they are part of the Home Franchise Concepts, otherwise known as HFC, where they have other brands. And so just they have a really well-known reputation in the space. And yeah, if you're interested to learn more about this particular resale, go to franchiseempire.com/resale, submit your information. Again, we also have a list of over 90 plus resales with various brands spanning the US and Canada. Mark, anything else to add on that resale?
Yeah, just a couple quick points. One, kind of a funny note, back in my Five Guys days, so that was from 2005 to 2019. This is probably somewhere around 2010 or 11. One of our neighboring franchise owners, a friend of mine, had a director of operations for him. Again, Five Guys in the food business. He was a really talented guy. And one day he just announced that he was leaving. He quit the job. He was not the franchise owner. He was an employee of the franchisee. And I remember calling him up and wishing him well. I said, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I really can't tell you now, but I'm going to another franchise." So we all assumed he was going to become a franchise owner in the food category because, again, he was very qualified and he didn't want to work for somebody, all the right reasons. He ended up going to Providence, Rhode Island and buying a Budget Blinds franchise. And my guess is now he's got probably a $4 or $5, maybe even $6 million business. He owns 3 or 4 excellent territories in Providence. He knew absolutely nothing about the window blind business. He was a lifelong restaurant guy, and he's just killing it now. So there you go. If you're not afraid of rolling up your sleeves and following the playbook, he's doing amazingly well. So that's point one. Point two, again, I say this all the time, but if you're interested in this, if you're interested in this very attractive resale, guess what? Lots of other people are as well. Not just Franchise Empire are presenting these to candidates. So there's going to be a long list of people interested. If you are, please go to your lender. Make sure you've got a notification saying you are approved to buy a business of $1.3 million. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels and you're going to end up really frustrated because you'll always be at the back of the line.
Very, very good points. And yeah, I love that. I love that story. Yeah, Budget Blinds is just I know a Budget Blind. Sometimes my brain speaks faster. My brain moves faster than my lips can handle.
Yeah, I know the problem.
Budget Blinds overall quality brand. And again, guys, by the way, don't try reaching out directly to the owner or anything like that. That's not how this process works. You would be severely.
Yeah, you'll be done. They won't consider you if you do that. That's exactly what not to do. But again, another point here is there are other good blind franchises that aren't as completely developed as Budget Blinds that are very good, that are in our portfolio, that we'd be very comfortable sharing with people as well. So if you like the idea of the industry and maybe this isn't for you, we still have something to talk about with some other really excellent blind companies. The reality is it's in the home service category. There's a lot of really lean, nice things about these businesses that are great.
Yeah, no, that's a good point because you're not going to really be able to find new territories. Very, very few available with Budget Blinds, primarily resales, which is why you'll see us showing them. Okay, guys. By the way, if you do not get this newsletter in your inbox, you can go to the link at the bottom that's scrolling, franchiseempire.com/newsletter to get this every Sunday morning. While you're doing that, clearly you still might want to look at some of the previous ones, including this one. So this is this week's. I will drop it in the comments. So if you wanted to go back and look at what we're reviewing now, we got to make those thumbnails smaller. That is giant. But you can see that is the wrong one. Someone sent me the wrong one. No, I just copy and pasted the wrong one. Okay, where are we at here? I don't know if I can delete. Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. Let's see. Here we go. Week 79. All right, my bad, guys. I dropped the wrong one. I was almost quick to blame it on someone else. Tisk. It was my own error. All right, let's keep it moving. New franchise owner through Franchise Empire. So just want to celebrate one of our recent clients. So Joshua. So his entrepreneurial spirit sparked at age 16. He after running a successful photo studio, he had a dramatic rent increase and it forced him to pivot. But sometimes challenges lead to better opportunities. His experience with leasing taught him what he didn't want, leading him to explore lease-free business models. And he found his match. We were able to help him buy a Window Genie, which is a service-based franchise with Neighborly. Neighborly is the largest home services franchisor in the United States. So congratulations, Joshua, on becoming a franchise owner. Excited for you. And that leads us to the franchise of the week. So Mark, take us through this one.
So the thing about next day access that's put it on the map and has done so well is it caters to not only the seniors, but anybody who's disabled, who needs the ability to move around and stay mobile and stay active. So we wrote this, so I'm going to just read it. They make a positive impact in the lives of the aging, disabled, and special needs population by providing sales, installation of essential equipment such as ramps, stair lifts, porch lifts, ceiling lifts, pool lifts, grab bars, and more home modifications. They help both residential customers as well as commercial businesses. This helps people remain safe, comfortable, and independent in their homes and businesses. As they age, they start to develop problems with things such as that. Others may experience illnesses, diabetes. These age-related changes in function can make it more difficult to get around at home, participate in the community, and go out to work. Also, the real key there is it is mostly the adult children of these seniors who become the customers, right? Because they want to make sure mom and dad are taken care of. If you leave it up to mom and dad, they're never going to make the call. So you got a built-in client base because these adult parents, these adult children of their parents who don't live in the same area are trying to make sure mom and dad are taken care of. So it's not a business that's going to run out of people. And I think the statistic, I'm not sure if they boast this or one of them boasts it, that by 2030, which isn't that far away, 40% of the country is going to be 60 or older. So this is just a category that's going to only boom for franchise owners. Started in 1997, all they did was sell and install ramps. In 2013, they opened their first office using the Next Day Access name in Memphis, and they've been franchising ever since. I remember speaking to Mike Gardner is the name of the Fran Dev guy there, Tarek. I remember speaking to him, and I don't remember exactly the story, but they actually kind of paused franchise sales for a couple of years to kind of regroup. So they probably would have had more. I wish I knew more. I should have probably did some homework knowing this was the topic today. I didn't do it, but I'm happy to talk to anybody about it or at least introduce you to Mike. But they're at 50, but because they energized their brand, he also said that they're hoping to do 25 or 30 a year going forward, which sort of talks about it here in the parentheses where they had 30 at the beginning of 2024 and they sold 20. So it's really moving fast. The years prior, they kind of had some growing pains that they've worked out. Franchise fee, 23,000 plus 5 cents per person, which is a really kind of an interesting way to do it. My question is, how do they get the actual total of people? I'd like to be part of that conversation. Royalties are sliding down as revenues go up, which is, you're seeing that more and more common. It's probably due to the successful franchisee saying why, and it makes perfect sense. The more revenue you contribute to the brand, the less percentage of that goes to the brand. They do have a general service fee, which is a cap. The investment range you see there, and again, keep in mind the range means it's a range. It could fall anywhere between it. Standard 10 years. And this is according to their new FDD, which just came hot off the presses last month. I think you're on mute still, Tarek.
Darn it. Thank you. I was on mute. I was just saying that I didn't know that about they had paused franchising for a bit. And honestly, you know what? It says a lot about an organization, because there are times when they go, okay, hey, we may have brought on either the wrong franchisees, or we need to figure out some stuff before we bring on more people. Guys, there's actually, it says a lot about a brand if they would do that, because a lot of franchisors, they would just keep bringing on new franchisees when maybe they need to figure some crap out. And I think for a brand or a company to go, we are going to stop generating more franchise fees, generating more new revenue for our company, bringing in new franchisees, and we're going to solely focus on making sure our system's dialed in and our franchisees are being successful. I think it tells you a lot about the values of that organization. I'm just reading in between the lines there. But that's what I would say.
No, I would concur with that, and I would add that it's also bold and favorable that they realized that the model that they had set up initially didn't have staying power. It wasn't the model they had. It wasn't part of what they saw as the future. So they said, let's stop it. Grandfathered in probably the people that were in it, and now they're representing the brand to people that understand what it is and going forward. So they're a really good brand, and as you know, Tarek, we're presenting this brand to candidates on a regular basis.
Yeah, I was actually pretty disappointed a few weeks back to find out that a specific area was not available for someone that I thought this could be a really, really good fit for. So I was actually pretty bummed about that. But there's still lots of territory left, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, there is.
In terms of numbers, so they actually had a bunch of different, in their franchise disclosure document, they had a bunch of different snapshots. I took the one that I thought was the most insightful for this newsletter. And I always find it very helpful when franchisors do this, meaning they list the numbers based on time in business, because I think it's really helpful. And in my hundreds, if not now thousands of conversations that I've had with various franchise buyers or people looking into franchises, it goes back to that phrase that I remember Tony Robbins used to say, is that most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5. And so people start a business or buy a franchise thinking, ooh, year 1, I want to take $100,000, $200,000 out of the business. Although possible, not likely, number one. Number two is that these businesses that you see that are generating millions of dollars in revenue, that are selling for big list prices, these businesses have been around for years, guys. So anyways, when we look at some of the numbers here, I still need to figure out a way to be able to have like a highlighter or pen on the screen when I'm doing this so I could underline stuff, but hopefully you can see my mouse spazzing out here. So let's look at the bottom number here first. 1.3 million is the average gross sales for 25 territories that they report that were operating prior to January 1, 2024. And you can just see how obvious the numbers are in terms of 12 to 24 months, 5 territories are averaging about $400,000 in sales, lowest performer 132, highest performer 737. Like, okay, cool. I understand now what my opportunity is financially in my first 1 to 2 years in business. I'm clear. Thank you. Like, it shows so much clarity. 25 to 36 months, the average sales are 918,000, which is pretty interesting. So either that, like, you would wonder, okay, why is this higher than years three through 4? I would guess, without knowing any other information, two different things. Number one, it was during the COVID era where people were at home more. It created more opportunities because they needed more things done in their homes or to access things. Number two, it could have been around that time period where they had stopped franchising previously and then they reset the type of franchisees they were bringing in and their system. And so people started to succeed more quickly now based on the upgraded system. And then you can see, if we just jump up to the 13 territories that have been in business for 5 years or longer, average gross sales of $2 million. And the highest performer does 11.7 million, lowest performer 463,000. So I'm gonna say a joke here, but I would be racing to my 5th year in business. Right? Well, like, obviously you can't speed up time, ladies and gentlemen. That's my dad joke of the day. But it just shows time in. We are now in year 4, almost 5 years of franchise empire. And lo and behold, we're having the most success and growth that we ever had now in, almost 5 years in. There's nothing that can beat time compounded. Mark, what are your thoughts on some of those numbers and what they tell you?
Couple comments I'd make. One, when we talk to potential franchise candidates, inevitably they're asking things. And again, when they come into the system here, many of them are uneducated. They're not sure what questions to ask or what expectations should be. That's part of our job. But when you look at 12 to 24 months, average sales of, where's the average one? 408, 309. Or look at 25 to 36 months, 918, 112. It's okay for us in our business to say to potential candidates, listen, if you follow the playbook and you're an average performer, then 2 years from now, you could be at the $900,000 range. That's not giving them false hope. That's not even giving them false reality. That's what we say to people. These are real solid numbers. A lot of people just like you that we're speaking to can see this. That's the value of looking at these numbers. And I think it is interesting that years 3 through 4 are less than 2 through 3. And I would probably share the same information with it that you did. So I think that's the takeaway. Those are real numbers. And again, to your point, on 5 months, $2 million, that sounds right? If you look at the growth numbers, I always want to point out this, the last point. You look at the low performer, 463.29. They've been in business for over 5 years. No matter what, the best brand in the world, and these guys are really good, no matter how great the brand is, and I go back to old sitcoms that I used to laugh when they talk about, best to worst. No matter how great a brand is, there's going to be the top performer and the bottom performer. That's just the way life is. So we always tell our candidates, talk to some of these underperformers, because my guess is going to be if you pick up the phone and chatted with the gentleman or the woman who's doing 463,829, chances are they're not going to say, this is the worst brand in the history of franchising. They completely suck. I wish I never did it. What they're probably going to say is, yeah, you know what? I only work 6 months a year. I don't really follow the model. I kind of do it my own way. I'm very content. So my point is, just because someone is a lower performer doesn't mean the brand is a problem. You have to understand the motivations of each person. And I would rather focus on I don't want to talk to the person doing 463, but I'd really want to talk to the person doing 11,000,007. That's the guy I want to know about. So just a couple top line thoughts about those numbers.
I love it. Love the thoughts. Guys, some of the benefits for the franchisee demand. I think we've talked about this in looking at other brands that serve similar markets and spaces, that more than 30% of Americans over age 65 have a type of disability, or over 50% of those are over the age of 75. 10,000 baby boomers will turn 65 today and every day for the next 15 years. So that's why I put in the, in this part of the newsletter here, franchisees showing 11 million in sales in growing industry, because it is growing. And there's that phrase that, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So certainly it's helpful to be in an industry that you kind of have the wind at your back, so to say.
No doubt.
Mark, you want to hit on some of these other items?
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, one of the beauties of the business, I like to say that these businesses are simple, far from easy. Don't misinterpret simple from easy. They're not the same things, but simple. 3 people. You need an installer, you need a sales rep, and you need an office manager. If you want to do the role of one of those, you can be the sales rep, maybe you can be the office manager. Most likely you'd hire an installer, but you don't want to become, as the franchise owner, you don't want to become the installer and that becomes your full-time job. But again, 3 people to get started. And as you grow, you'll find that as your needs grow, you'll hire more and more people. The goal here is after a year, I'm going to bet the people who've been at it 5 years are now very passive in terms of they're working 100% on their business, not in their business, because you're growing to keep people. So very small, very lean, very simple. And again, it's home-based. So you're saving so much time and money, not building out a storefront, not waiting for it to get built, just hit the ground running. It's on the go. As the owner, you won't be sitting behind a desk. You'll be doing sales calls, making referral partner connection, visiting job sites, overseeing your employees. And I would add creating a local awareness in your community about your business, kind of call it mayor of the village, letting people know that you are the go-to person for these types of services. And the territories are gigantic. Look at these, 500,000 to 1.5 million in population. So that's one of the reasons why you saw a small number of franchisees, but not a lot of territory, because they got great territories. Much bigger than a typical territory across the industry. And again, it's pretty self-explanatory. The more opportunity you have, the more bites of the apple you have to grow your business. Again, this is just a great brand, one of our favorite brands. We present this brand quite a bit.
Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to know if this specific brand is available in your market or area, then go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, and we'll be able to check and see if it is available for you. Again, please don't reach out to the franchisor directly. This is part of our business, and how we actually make money is by being able to introduce you guys to the brands and check if even your territory is available. And unfortunately, more often than not, we work with people every day where we're checking in on brands that we know are proven, that we know align, and they're not available. So if you start randomly reaching out to brands, you're probably going to waste your time. And they're not going to generally just tell you right away if it's available. You're going to go through like this whole process with them, and then you'd have to start over one by one. So we're able to check 5, 10, 15, 20 brands at a time because of the systems that we have set up. So that's that. All right. Last but not least, and by the way, if you've gotten value out of this and you like this, this information, you like the newsletter, what would be really helpful is if you could do us a favor and just hit the little like button wherever you're watching this. So whether on YouTube, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Facebook, wherever you're watching this right now, if you can just press the like button, super, super helpful in just helping the algorithm to show it to more people. Last but not least is the Zero to Profitable Franchise podcast. We have, I don't want to say, I guess we've taken a new direction with the podcast where it's not just interviews anymore. There's more interesting, entertaining, educating, let's call it infotainment. There's more infotainment style content content that we're putting out there. So this one is about why smart investors avoid Chick-fil-A franchises, even though they make millions. I highly suggest you check it out. This is actually, I really enjoyed making this piece of content. There's a lot of research that went into it. Mark, I'm curious to hear your experience. You were saying that you did something. People may not have been watching when you said it earlier, but so tell us what you did, and I'm curious to hear what you learned.
I applied to become a franchise operator for Chick-fil-A. I applied. I went through the system. I really didn't have any interest in it, but I wanted to go through the system. I wanted to see it for myself. And with the exception of having to fly to Atlanta one day, it didn't take a lot of my time and effort. So it is the most profitable. I would agree. It's the most profitable food franchise in America by leaps and bounds over everything. As a matter of fact, if you take 2 and 3 and combine it, it doesn't equal Chick-fil-A. However, I see what you said. It's harder than getting into Stanford. Very true. I mean, I was a multi-unit quick serve restaurant operator. You would think I'd be at the top of the list for potential to be awarded. I kept staying. They eliminate a lot of people out of the gate. I was never eliminated until I decided to take myself out of the mix. But I kept getting past these checkpoints, and the reality was I was still so far away from ever having an opportunity. So I think, and I was in it for like 2 years. So a lot of times, if you're looking into Chick-fil-A, please look at other things as well, because the likelihood of you getting asked to be part of this is really, really slim. But what the reality is, in franchising, we talk to people a lot, and we ask them, what are your goals? More often than not, people who come to Franchise Empire are not looking to buy a job. They're looking to get out of a job, and they're looking to build a business and build an empire, whether they want to sell it for millions of dollars down the road or pass it on as a legacy. Well, that's not allowed at Chick-fil-A. So it's really misnamed as a franchise, because if you are awarded a Chick-fil-A, you become an operator of Chick-fil-A. You get zero equity in Chick-fil-A. You do get a very generous compensation package, because ultimately what it comes down to is, as the operator, once you pay off your fixed costs, because the Chick-fil-A is building the business, but you're paying them back out of the proceeds. They're not philanthropists, even though they're very smart people. So you ultimately end up splitting 50% of the profit. It comes out that you make about between 4 to 5% of sales, and they're averaging $7, $8, $10 million in sales. So it's a great job, but you're never going to get more than one, most likely. And you are an operator. They expect you to operate that store in the business 6 days a week, only 6 because they're closed on that 7th, as opposed to the real excellent franchise models, which your goal is to work really hard, but ultimately work on your business because you have a team of people doing it for you. So I think Chick-fil-A, while a great business, is the antithesis of franchise owners, what people are looking for in franchising, because really what you are is you're buying a very lucrative job, but you work really, really hard for that money. So I think it's fair. And then when you're done, you let them know, you move on, and you leave with nothing. So again, it's a little bit misleading when it comes to that.
It is, yeah, and we talk more about it in the specifics in the video. So definitely go check it out. I was just at this. I was asked to be a panelist at this franchise pitch competition down in Miami this last week, and there were 4 to 6 franchise brands kind of pitching their brand. It's funny at these things. I've been a part of 2 of them now over the last year. And people will throw out these softball questions to these brands, or just be like, "Oh, well," they'll just say these soft things. And so I guess I've built a reputation of, they say I ask tough questions, but it's like, these are the questions that people want to know. I don't know why people are just asking these soft things, or like just congratulating people for no reason. Like, well, don't you want people to ask hard questions and it be more of like a Shark Tank style thing? So anyways, Chick-fil-A was there to make a long story longer. And I brought up some of the questions around, like, hey, like, you guys are harder to get into than Stanford, and you don't have a traditional franchise model. And my questions weren't really answered very directly. The first one around hard to get into was, the other one wasn't even addressed. And I asked it in a very friendly manner. But guys, yeah, if you're looking to actually own something and have a business that you can exit and sell, this ain't it. This ain't it. But again, go check out the video. It's on the Franchise Empire YouTube channel. Click that bad boy. Boom. That'll take you to the Franchise Empire YouTube channel. And then you can see it here. Boom. Chick-fil-A. That's the video, ladies and gentlemen. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. So that's it. That's all we have for today.
All right.
It doesn't look like we have any questions. So pretty light, easy one today. Again, if you guys got value out of this, make sure to hit the like button. That would be super helpful. And thanks for joining and tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Mark.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.